Welcome, Stacey, to the Twich studio. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
I'm really, really excited because we've known each other for a long time and you are joining in as one of our co-hosts and co-presenters on the Twich Podcast. So thank you very much for agreeing to do that, first of all.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting to be part of it.
We'll talk about how we know each other, but what do you do at the moment? What are your roles?
I suppose I could describe the three main things I do as the first one being I'm an educational consultant. So I've spent a long time in the education sector supporting senior leaders and managers and teams to get the best out of themselves and out of each other, and looking after quality improvement and just helping them to make the best of the opportunities that they have. Outside of my main role, I am an executive director at Nantwich Show, Nantwich Agricultural Society, which is a fabulous organisation. The society has the Nantwich Show underneath it, for which I am the sheep chairlady with a background in sheep farming, which I'm sure I'll get the opportunity to talk about at another time. And also we have the 1835 network as part of the society, which is a great way of bringing new young talent into the show, but also for them to develop each other. Outside of that, in my volunteer work, I am also the founder of fairly new charity called Nantwich Men in Sheds, which is part of a national organisation which promotes positive mental well-being and aims to reduce social isolation for men. So we have a little shed over at Gate Farm in Nantwich, which welcomes all members to come along and pick up a screwdriver or a hammer, or just pick up a cup of coffee and have a chat with the other men in the shed.
Like me, yes, you do lots of different things. We met 2019, wasn't it? I started working for the Cheshire and Warrington Pledge Partnership. And of course, you were already there, weren't you? Under your role with the Enterprise Hub.
That's right, yes. So my education work led me to start with the Careers and Enterprise Company, which became the Cheshire and Warrington Careers Hub, bit of a mouthful, but did start as the Pledge Partnership. So that is where we first met. And we had some great times doing that work together, didn't we, in terms of engaging with the local employment community and getting them in front of young people so that they can understand all of the amazing opportunities that are available in the local area for them to go into when they leave school and college.
I think we both understood, both coming from an education background, how important it is that kids and young people have that real life experience of careers and businesses. And yeah, we were very much the facilitating those relationships between young people and businesses.
Absolutely. And the young people can only really understand what's going on in industry if they're careers leaders and senior leaders are driving a programme that enables that to happen. So we work really closely with senior leaders, head teachers and careers leaders to help them create a programme that really shines a spotlight on everything that's going on in industry in Cheshire and Warrington. And we've got some fantastic examples of industry. We're a huge agricultural area with loads of opportunities within it. The manufacturing and engineering sector is huge, life sciences, obviously the digital landscape is everywhere. Really listening to employers in the local area and hearing about what they need, and then sharing that information back with the senior leaders and the head teachers so that they can create opportunities for young people to learn about it.
The area that you cover now, tell us about that.
So in my Careers Hub role, I look after the whole of Cheshire East, so that's all of the mainstream schools. So geography is not my strong point, but as a summary, we go all the way through from Crewe and Nantwich up to Macclesfield and everywhere in between. It is a huge area and a diverse area. And I also look after all of the colleges, the post-16 colleges for Cheshire and Warrington. So the main colleges in this area are Rees Heath, obviously, that we have down the road, Cheshire College South and West, which has 3 sites, Crewe campus, Ellesmere Port, and also a campus in Hambridge. We also have Warrington Vale Royal with 2 campuses, one in centre of Warrington and one in Winsford. We also have Macclesfield College in Macclesfield. And then we have 2 other key post-16 providers in Priestley College in Warrington and Sir John Deans over in Northwich as well. So I look after all of those who are amazing in terms of how they link with employers and create really fantastic opportunities for young people to be ready for the workplace when they leave.
We very quickly realised that we had an interest in agriculture. Did you have some sheep that needed a bit of grazing land? Was that how we started talking? And my father-in-law good old John had some land, and I thought, you could pop them there.
Absolutely. There is a terrible thing in sheep maths. So you start with a few, and then you blink your eyes, and then you've got loads, and you're starting to wonder where you're going to put them all. Yes, so I had absolutely left the agricultural world behind for a few years as I ventured into education, and it was my dad that kept nudging me to say, "No, when are you going to go back and do some proper work?" And so really to appease him, we went back into sheep farming in a very small scale. But as I say, that sheep math sort of took over, and before you knew it, we had loads. And thankfully, at the time that we met, you said, "Oh, actually, my father-in-law has a great barn and some land that you could use." And we were able to grow our flock. And I'm sure you've been along and helped us with lambing at some points as well in John's shed. So yes, that was a great way of us getting to know each other even better outside of our careers work.
Yeah, and then of course we went through lockdown together. We did a lot of work online for the pledge, and that part of our job. But being local, we saw quite a bit of each other. And then when the Nantwich Show, which is talking about different hats that we all wear, I put my Nantwich Show hat on when we started there. Brought it back to life in 2022. And I do recall we had a meeting, didn't we, where we put everybody together, come along and be a volunteer for the Nantwich Show. We're going to get it going. And we put everybody around tables at Reese Heath. And I said, "Oh yeah, go sit over there with Stacey and Steve and just if you're interested in sheep, go sit over there." And at that point, you had no intention to be the sheep secretary. And I remember you coming to me a few weeks later and saying, "Actually, it's still available because I think I might like to do it." Is that how it happened? Or did I just hook you in straight away?
No, I remember that first volunteer meeting over at Reese Heath, actually. And there must have been about 50 odd people that came to that one, which was great. And we did sit around a table, and I said I would help, I think was how it initially started. I'll get the sheep section going. And then you said, "Well, we do need someone to actually lead the section." And at the time I thought, well, it's probably not for me, but I'm happy to help. And then as these things tend to go, within a few weeks, I thought, oh, well, why not? And I suppose the rest is history.
Exactly.
We've grown an amazing team.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Here we are, going into our 5th year now in Nantwich Show, in the new look show at Reese Heath College. And you're now an executive director. You've been an exec director with us for about 3 or 4 years now, haven't you, I think?
Yes,
leading on the education and inclusion part of the show. So we've got lots of great plans to do a lot to do with education. We're trying to educate the community about farming and where their food comes from and such like. And of course, the sheep section is thriving and growing. Tell us about how that's developed over the years.
Yeah, so I think when I first took over, we obviously had moved to the new showground. It was a whole new look of the show. So it was a suck it and see year, wasn't it, to see how it all went. And I think we had probably under 100 entries that first year.
I think it was about 79 rings about.
You're probably right. Certainly a lot smaller than it is now. And we played around with the classes. We looked at what had gone before. We talked to people locally to see what would be of interest to them, and sort of started with quite a small offer. We stripped it right back. We kept MV and non-MV sections. So that was quite important to a lot of sheep societies and sheep breeders, that they wanted the opportunity to bring their MV accredited flocks as well, which brings its own challenges in terms of setting up the showground and making sure that we're compliant with everything that needs to happen with that. But it's been massively beneficial in being able to bring other flocks that otherwise wouldn't have been able to be part of the show. So we started very small, and then each year we've used feedback, we've grown, we've changed, and last year we were up to 210 entries across, I think, 9 different sections. Each has about 7 different classes within it. So we have an absolutely fantastic range now of different breeds, different exhibitors that range from small flocks to really big commercial flocks. But I have to say the favourite has got to be the young handlers
Yeah.
classes. I don't know if it's the education thread that weaves through everything, but it is great to see those young members coming through and starting their journey in the agricultural sector by exhibiting amazing confidence when they get in those rings. And some of the children are smaller than the sheep that they're exhibiting.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic to see the work that they put in alongside their parents and their families to get the sheep ready. And then the pride that they have when they bring them into the ring on the day is just amazing.
Now let's touch on your newest role. What is it that you've set up recently?
Yes, I'm quite excited about this one actually. So back last year, beginning, we talked about setting up a Nantwich Men in Sheds charity. Men in Sheds is a national initiative and it is focused on reducing social isolation and promoting positive mental health and well-being for men. We all know that men can find it more difficult to get together and talk and spend time in each other's company, something which I think women do quite naturally. I know we certainly do and are able to talk and get together. But it's something that is often overlooked in a man's life. They don't feel like it's a thing that they can naturally go and do. And we wanted to create a space where men could come along, feel comfortable in each other's company, and to share a space and get to know other fellow members. And so in November 2025, we had our launch event over at Gate Farm, which is where our shed is based. And it was one of those things where you think, is this a good idea? Have we done the right thing? And we'd set up as a charity. We'd got the space, albeit quite a sparse space at that time. And it was just the seedling of an idea. So we said, well, let's do the open evening and see what happens. And we had about 50 people on opening night and we were absolutely bowled over and quite relieved that it wasn't just me sat in a room with our fellow trustees having a cup of coffee. So we knew then that we'd done the right thing. We'd made a good move. And from then on, we've been able to offer 2 sessions a week for the sheds open on a Wednesday from 12 until 8 and on a Saturday morning. And we try to have a timetable that accounted for different people in different lifestyles. So those that are retired that might want to come in the daytime or have more flexible working, those that are busy in the daytime, we have evenings, and those with families might find it easier to come at the weekend. So we've tried to cater for everybody in the offer that we have. And it is a big workshop space where people can come and bring their own projects. We've actually been inundated with project ideas, which has been great. The support of the local community has been phenomenal, both from individual people that have brought along tools and donated wood. We've had companies that have helped with the electrics in the shed. It has truly been amazing to see the level of support that we've had. We've obviously got the members then that bring their own expertise as well. So we've had members that have stripped back some of the machinery that we've been donated and rebuilt that to make it safe and useful in the shed. And those that have got their own skill set as well. But alongside that, we have people that have not picked up a screwdriver before or a chisel. And that's absolutely fine as well, because it's just being in that space. Come and have a brew and just see what everyone else is doing. And that's been the really nice thing, to see that mix of men come together and start to talk to each other and share those skills shoulder to shoulder, and but have a focus in doing something in the shed rather than an expectation to be coming to talk. And then the talking just seems to happen naturally.
Yeah, brilliant. And we better give a big shout out to the team that are involved in the shed.
Yes, please. So we have a fabulous team of trustees. So we have Andrew Jackson, who is a fellow trustee and our landlord. He was the first trustee to come on board because it's his space that we use at the shed, which he has. And he doesn't like me saying that he's generous, but he is. And he's given us a space to use to get the shed up and running. So that was amazing. It was one of the biggest hurdles that charities generally, but specifically Men in Sheds, when they're setting up, one of the biggest hurdles is finding the space. So to have that from day one was absolutely brilliant. And he's an active member in the shed as well. We then have Steve, who is our health and safety man. So he's the practical one of the group, or most practical one of the group. So he does the risk assessments, makes sure that the area is safe for the men to use, gives advice and guidance to the other trustees and to the members about how to be using the shed properly. Then we have Dave Christie, who is our business link, really. So he promotes the charity to other local businesses that then support us. We were very fortunate actually that early on, one of his connections meant that we could benefit from a local award, so that brought income into the charity, which was absolutely great. And then we have Dan Evans, who is our finance man, so he looks after all of the membership and session fees and makes sure that we're paying our bills and keeps it all ticking over.
You're now going to help present the Twich podcast.
Yes.
So we've got our plan to have a series of different themes.
Yeah, so as you say, when we talked about how I could be involved in the Twich podcasting, it was that question of, well, which bit should I do? Because as you say, you're so intertwined into everything, or we both are intertwined in what we do. So I think we've narrowed it down to education being one of the key things. It'd be great to have people join us to talk about their role in education, and hopefully to showcase the breadth of education, that it's not just a school or a college, but the different ways in which people can be educated, and talk about some of the things that are happening in the sector at the moment. So that will be brilliant. And then obviously to have involvement in the agricultural conversations as well will be brilliant. There's so much happening in the sector at the moment. It's a really exciting time as well as a challenging time, as anyone in the sector will tell you. But there's so much to it and so much opportunity that it'd be great to be able to talk to people about what's happening on our doorstep, because we're in one of the biggest dairy areas in the country. So, and that's only one aspect of agriculture that we can talk about. So they're going to be my main areas. I'm really, really delighted that you've come on board for this part of the journey, the next chapter. Oh, it's very exciting. Thanks so much for setting it all up for us all to be involved in.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Stacey. I look forward to hearing your first interview with your first guest over the coming weeks.
Thank you very much.
1, 2,